Okay, man. I felt like doing another video, so why not? Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm riding around with my cousin, a couple days ago, and you know, he's a Brooklyn dude, born and raised, and we're talking about Griselda, right? Because we're just discussing shit. We're like, yo, what's the new shit, blah blah, and he was like, yo, um, I asked him what you think about Griselda. He's like, like I was listening to them, whatever, and all that. And I was like, I think they're hot garbage. And he started laughing, right? Because they know I'm always that guy, the agitator. And I don't do this stuff deliberately. I'm not like an agitator to be an agitator. But I guess by nature, I tend to kind of try to look at like what's really going on. Like I try not to fall for the bullshit, the hype, because I don't like feeling like I fell for the okey doke. That shit bothers me. Anyway, so he was like, "Yo, I'm like, I try to listen to them, but it didn't resonate with me. But maybe I'm missing something." And I'm just like, "Nah, you're not missing nothing." And he was like, "Oh, they kind of like the Locks." The Locks. What are you talking about? How the fuck are Griselda like the Locks? And you see, this is a marketing thing. Just because you dress like the Locks or whatever, or you dress like Hov in '97, doesn't mean that you are actually Hov in '97, right? I mean, you can fool casuals and shit, but you can't fool people that have been listening to hip hop. You know, Benny the Butcher, Conway, and who's the last guy? West Side Gun. Yeah, Griselda, you can kind of come across as y'all the new Locks. But the reality of the matter is that if you're the Locks, who's your Swiss Beats? Derringer? Really? Nah. You know what I'm saying? Who's your Dame Grease? Who's your PK? You know what I'm saying? Are you on that cutting edge shit? Because frankly, Swiss Beats was on the cutting edge. You could argue the Swiss Beats was on that keyboard, trappy, kind of like, again, Pierre Bournish type of stuff that people shitted on it first and then realized actually later that it was pure genius, right? So, nah, you not the Locks, okay? The Locks are a different breed. Those are some creative, very intelligent niggas. Like, they are not, like what makes the Locks is that they're up here, they got a lot going on, and in here, they got a lot going on. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, these are really, really creative guys. They don't do what everyone else does, right? They made their own sort of brand of music and they kept it super gutter, but they were also creative with it. And they had amazing beats. They had some amazing beats. You cannot get around this. I've yet to hear a beat from Griselda that is phenomenal and next level. The Locks had several. You want to name them? All for the love, next level. Um, Bust your gun, you know, to a certain extent. What else are we talking about? Ride or die chick. I mean, that was pretty cool. Recognize. Then we do go to Jada. Still feel me. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys weren't rapping on stuff that was just kind of like, oh yeah, well, like everybody got them kind of beats. Nah, like they were trying to do something unique. I would argue that maybe Locks in a bit. At times, I think some of their music did become a little redundant. But again, like they have genuine bangers. They have genuine great records. I have yet to hear one amazing record from Griselda. Their entire shit. I have listened to a bunch of Griselda songs. I'm yet to hear one that's like, yo, I cannot get enough of this record. I keep playing this over and over again. I have not heard one. And these guys have probably dropped like 500 songs by now, if not more. They're the new Lil Wayne. That's what they're trying to do. They're Lil Wayneing this shit in the underground. That's really their inspiration in a sense, Like just drop a ton of shit, like get the cosigns, seem like you're the new guys that are really bringing it. But in reality, you're not. Um, and honestly, you're not the only people that think that these niggas is trash. I think they're vocally trash. I think their beats is trash. I think Derringer's beats are horrible. Like, they're just very boring, you know? They're trying to do what that, like, Roc Marciano does, and Roc Marciano himself is not my cup of tea either. Not for me. I think he's kind of trash, but whatever. That's just me. Um, but that's really what they're doing, and that's what I think is so interesting about marketing. It's that you're selling yourself as being this new Mob Deep, raw Locks type of shit, but in reality, I know the type of shit that you're trying to do. You're trying to basically do Roc Marciano all over again, and even that whole Griselda, that's Maybach music. Rick Ross, like those are the kind of people that listen to Griselda, right? It's the Rick Rosses and the Roc Marcianos and shit and the Torres. It's not the Mobb Deeps and the Wu Tang. Come on, man. Like you can't fool me. You know what I'm saying? Like again, I always say this: you can fool casuals who don't know, and you can dress a certain way and bark on a record, but ultimately the music is what speaks for itself, and we know what this music shit really sounds like. I'm not a fan. You know, I think the best Griselda records, the two best ones I've heard, would be definitely Benny's Hove '97. The second, especially that second half, where Alk gave him like a pretty decent beat. I thought that beat was actually pretty decent. Um, not amazing, but decent. And there's a one called Trump. I think Conway's got a record called Trump, also done by Alchemist. So as long as these guys sort of, you know, continue to use the same old producers like Alchemist, who again, I respect Alchemist. Alchemist has some great music. He's done some great beats, but he's not like a top tier producer like that. Like he's not a Primo, he's not a Timbaland, he's not a RZA. He's a great producer in his own right, but he's not up there with like really making that like next level shit. And my point is, when you're rocking with Alchemist, who is actually years past his prime, let's be honest, right? Again, no disrespect. It doesn't mean that he can't make a banger tomorrow, but the heyday of Alchemist is like the 2000s, right? Like the early 2000s or whatever. And that's my problem with the whole Griselda thing. It's just a retread of shit I've already heard and not done well, with these sort of like, you know, cosign driven, like, oh, I'm, this, I'm that. When in actual fact, really, you're Roc Marciano, you're a watered down version of Roc Marciano, right? Just be honest with the fans, man. But I know it doesn't sound hot. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, Roc Marciano's been out all this time. Nobody gives a shit about Roc Marciano. You can't use his name like that because at the end of the day, his name don't got no weight. You know what I mean? Like the dudes that have weight was the creative dudes. So yeah, man, I'm not a fan. I'm hating. You can say I'm hating. I'm just being critical. If these guys come out with a song tomorrow that's amazing, I'll tell you, because I'm not the kind of person. It's not personal with me. I don't know these guys. I have no beef with them personally. I just heard their music and I think the music is whack. But and I wouldn't have a problem. Again, people like what they like. But it's like when you start to have these weird sort of marketing gimmicks where it's like, yo, if you don't like these guys, you don't know real hip hop. Like, fuck out of here. I've seen this stupid ass pattern a gazillion times, man. You know what I'm saying? It's aimed at casuals every single time.